We got a boxing match going on the screen if you're watching on YouTube right now.
Yo!
And Jubilee's winning.
I know. What are you doing? She keeps like biting me and swatting
Floating
at
like
me.
a butterfly, stinging like a bee.
Stinging like a bee. Oh my god.
Rumble, young cat, rumble.
You see, she's just biting my arm right now.
Now it's Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson was a cat.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I think she just farted.
Meow
oh,
Tyson.
God.
This is definitely the clip.
Where was I?
There's the intro.
In the morning, I'm making waffles.
Whoever said orange was the new pink was seriously disturbed.
And when it comes to huge openings, a lot of people think of me.
Just call me a fuck ass.
Brilliant. Scary. I get nasty when I'm horny.
Okay, welcome to Not Another 2001 Movie Podcast, a show exploring movies released during the first year of a chaotic century. Guys, did you know that you could have 7 million termites living in your house and not even know it until you fall right through the corridor floor on your way to the kitchen? I'm Allison.
I'm Slate.
I'm Josh.
All right, question of the week, which I thought you two would enjoy, being sports ball people.
Sports ball people.
Yeah. If you could
also sports bald people.
Facts.
If you could witness one historic sporting event live and in person, what would it be?
Josh, you want to go first?
I was going to leave it for you because you
Okay.
mentioned earlier you had like 7 options, so I just want to hear you reel them off here, spitfire.
Yeah, I'm trying not to do all of them. Obviously, like for me, it would have been like one of the first ones that came to mind was, you know, the Cowboys winning the Super Bowl in the '90s with Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin. You know, so
You'll never see that again. So
no, I really won't, and that's okay. And then I thought back to the Cincinnati Reds winning the World Series in the '70s with the Big Red Machine and Griffey Sr. and Johnny Bench and Pete Rose and all of those guys who I admire. So like that would have been. Those were like my top 2 things for me, personally. But like going with the movie today, I really do think it would have been iconic to see Frazier and Ali, the first fight, when they were both undefeated and everything. And that's booked as fight of the century, one of the biggest fights ever of all time. Definitely feels like a thing. So that's on there. And then the Cubs or the Red Sox breaking their World Series curses would have been cool moments to attend to. So, or any of the Kentucky national titles. All right, I'm done.
yeah, it was weird because my mind went to some Kentucky stuff just because it's weird. I've seen a lot of cool moments in Rupp Arena, like some of the things like that people really get excited about. I was there for the Anthony Davis block against North Carolina. Oh yeah, that's probably my favorite one. The Jon Voight when he hit the shot to beat. It was like Miami of Ohio. It was a terrible opponent, but he hit a shot at the end to win it, so that was cool. But as far as like UK games, actually the one I would love to have seen the most, which I was alive for it, I guess, but would have been the game
football game against Arkansas.
No, that would have been cool, but I was going to say the Duke, like when they lost to Duke in '92, like that would have been. Just
you would want to go to that game?
I mean, it's a great game.
You would want to have your heart broken.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
But that's like it's probably the best college basketball game that's ever been played. It actually would be cool to have been there for that.
God, you just made me sick to my stomach.
And then if I could, trip Leitner or something, if I had courtside
there
seats,
you go. To change history, then
yeah.
And then and then butterfly effect, and suddenly we're all walruses and or something.
It would be worth it for another national title.
Yeah.
But my number one thing that has happened that I wouldn't change. Like Game 7, when the Cavs came back against the Warriors, like obviously it's a selfish thing. It's not like historic for the world or anything, but for me, like as a Cavs fan, that's like clearly number one and far and away the option. And to have just witnessed that in person, the block, LeBron chasing down that block to kind of set the runoff, and I mean, it's a brutal game. It's not like a fun I've rewatched it, start to finish a few times, and it's not a fun basketball game to watch if you like really pretty basketball. But it's like, just two juggernaut teams, kind of like boxing each other. It's really kind of more of a like slugfest game, and it came down. Defense really ended up mattering. The last 2 minutes of that one, and it was a lot of fun. And I can't imagine what I've done if I'd been there in person, because I was running down the street yelling in the middle of Lexington, and doing all kinds of stuff that night, and was the only person probably in the city that gave a shit. So, what about you, Allison?
I'll go for two, and I'm going to stick with the Kentucky theme, but specifically the '96 championship team.
Yep.
I think because I went to so many of those games with my dad, and I was at the age where I could start to appreciate it and really get to know the players. They went almost undefeated, only lost 2 games all year, and one of the losses was to UMass, who we played in the final. But
Coached
I remember
by Cal, right?
Coached by Cal, and I remember that tournament. UK was just steamrolling over every opponent. I can't remember what the average win. It was more than 20 points per game when they averaged out how much UK won by. And that team was just really, really something special. And I would have loved to have been there in person. When I was in college, I did go to the NCAA tournament in 2003, which was the year we were really good. Lost early. Or we lost in the Sweet 16 or lead. I can't remember. But yeah, one of Tubby's last really good teams. And the atmosphere was just amazing. And UK fans will travel literally anywhere. So there's something really special about being in a huge arena and 75 to 80% of the crowd's blue.
That's when they lost to Marquette.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
That would have been Dwayne Wade, 03, because he got drafted that year. So.
Yeah.
Rough.
My other one also happened in '96, and that would be, I would have loved to have seen the gold medal winning gymnastics team, the Magnificent Seven.
That would have been cool. Because that was in Atlanta too, wasn't it, that year?
And it was in Atlanta, and they had not won the gold medal either in a long time or ever. I can't remember, but that team was so gritty, and that was back whenever you could have 7 gymnasts on your team. Now you can only do 4 and an alternate, I believe, but that allowed you to have a specialist. So now it's you've only got basically 4 gymnasts, and they all have to be good at all the apparatus, but you can't be the best at unless you're Simone Biles, basically. But you'd have someone who was really, really good at vault, and that would just be her thing, and then her score would just bring up the whole team. And I kind of miss that you don't see that anymore. And over the years, they reduced it from 7 down to what it is now. But
Simone Biles is the tiniest. He's by far the tiniest person I've ever interacted with. I can been real close to. She did the opening ceremony, not at this past Kentucky Derby, but last year, the 2025. And I was shooting photos that year for the Herald Leader, and oh my goodness! I knew she was small because she was a gymnast. I have them in my but she's tinier than I even could have ever anticipated. It was wild. And it's
Sophia
this much celebrity is in a kid size package. It was wild.
Ma petite.
Yeah. That since it's Kentucky month, and I can't imagine any other occasion where we would, talk about this. What was everybody's first Kentucky game, basketball or football, that you remember going to?
I remember my very first one. Josh, we were in college. It was freshman year. I'd never been to a game at Rupp or anything like that, and I won the Eruption Zone student lottery tickets. And slept out on the side of the street in the snow at
those were the days.
At 3:00 in the morning for 3rd row Eruption Zone seats against North Carolina.
Great
wow!
stuff.
Yes, that was my first ever game.
Was that you said freshman year?
Yeah,
I was at that game too.
Cousins, that was a great game.
I was up in the
went
rafters
out with like cramps for half, the first half, and came back in. We were blowing them out, and then when Wall went out, they kind of came back, and then Wall came in, and we took control. And I think we ended up winning by 5, but they hit a buzzer beater like half court 3 to make it. It would have been 8 or whatever. Or maybe it was we were up 5 and we ended up winning by 2 because of the shot that didn't matter. But yeah,
I stuck my mom and stepdad in on student tickets that game. That was
how
I don't remember how I pulled it off, but we all got in. And we were sitting up in the upper student section.
Yeah,
Nice.
That was, you could kind of get away with that back then. Now
The Hallison days before the internet really took off. Go on, Allison.
Well, mine is, I don't remember exactly the first game that I went to, but I can tell you the first player I remember at a game was Jamal Mashburn, so that was probably around 92.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Mine
was by far the worst of these 3. We went to the year before I went to Governor's School for the Arts. We went down to Lexington as a family. It's like the last. I'm gonna make it sound sad. It's like the last good collective memory of like my mom, dad, and sisters, all 5 of us, like kind of being together. But we got to see Billy Gillespie actually win a game against Florida on Senior Day.
Oh, Billy G.
It was like one of the. He probably had like 39 wins the entire time he was here, and we got to see one of them. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm done taking over your show now, Allison.
Oh, good stuff. Okay, so that question obviously ties in this week because we are talking about Ali, a biopic about one of the greatest cultural icons of all time, and he's a fellow Kentuckian, Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad, I'd do anything for you, you know that. But I've got bosses who only give a damn about Nielsen ratings.
I guarantee it will be a historical and a momentous night.
Man, if they came to me tomorrow and they said, we want you to fight Joe Frazier, Madison Square Garden, millions and millions of dollars, here's your license back, I will tell them I will never fight again.
Frankly, Muhammad, I'm surprised because until you fight Frazier,
Cosell,
there are people
are you
who
losing your hearing along with your hair? Don't put no question to it, man. I done told you I'm through fighting. I got a much bigger contender, a much heavier opponent. I'm fighting the entire U.S. government.
Do you think you're going to jail?
I don't know.
Joe Frazier told me on this show that he could knock you out.
See, there you go agitating. You should have asked Smoking Joe, what have he been smoking? That boy even dreamed he whooped me, he better wake up and apologize. But if I ever was to get in the ring with Joe, here's what you might see. Ali comes out to meet Frazier, but Frazier starts to retreat. If Joe goes back an inch farther, he'll wind up in a ringside seat. Ali swings with his left. Ali swings with his right. Just look at the kid carry the fight. Frazier keeps backing, but there's not enough room. It's only a matter of time before Ali lowers the boom. Ali swings with his right. What a beautiful swing, but the punch lifts Frazier clean out of the ring. Frazier's still rising, and the referee wears a frown, because he can't start counting till Frazier comes down. Frazier's disappeared from view. The crowd is getting frantic, but our radar stations done picked him up. He's somewheres over the Atlantic. Now, who would have thought when they came to the fight, they was going to witness the launching of a black satellite? But don't wait for that fight. It ain't never going to happen. Only thing you could do is wonder and imagine.
This has been another sports exclusive from ABC. Over to Jim McKay and Bern Switzer.
How you gonna go from me to Jim McKay? Did your wife leave you yet?
No, she hasn't left me yet. And
well, she's going to, because I told your wife when I seen her, I said, listen, why are you doing this to yourself?
So this movie is directed by Michael Mann of Heat fame, is where most people probably know him. It stars Will Smith in I don't know if it's it's not his first serious role, but I think it's his first, like, I'm really going to go for it lead acting role. Alongside Jamie Foxx, Jon Voight, Mario Van Peebles, who looks so hot as Malcolm X, Giancarlo Esposito, and a baby-faced Jeffrey Wright. He's so cute. He's so like cute and young in this movie.
But he has a beard. He's not baby-faced.
He's so little and baby-faced. He looks so young compared to that. I mean, it was 25 years ago, so.
That's true.
But also, memorable appearance by Smith's own wife, Jada Pinkett Smith. So, unlike, and I know we talked about this, and we talked about A Beautiful Mind and how that movie spans, his entire life, essentially. But this movie takes a different tactic, and it's generally a tactic that I tend to prefer, and that it just focuses on this like 10-year span of his life. So instead of trying to cram his whole lifetime in a 2-hour movie, it's just highlighting a few things, leaving a lot of stuff out between 1974, his victory over Sonny Liston, all the way up through 64 to 74. 64 Sonny Liston up to 74 George Foreman. One thing that shocked me, this film did not do well. And in my head, I just remembered this as being like, I thought it was a popular movie, like just one that I hadn't seen. And I thought that it was critically reviewed very well, but it's pretty much mixed reviews, except Will Smith is called out as, doing a really great job. And it only made $87.7 million worldwide, and its budget was estimated to be as high as $118 million.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I was like, oh my god, like I don't know.
It's hard. That budget seems high, but I can see it. Because I think this was Michael Mann. It was one of his first times because he was still shooting on like film, like 35 millimeter, but also. This was like when he starts doing digital too, so you can see it throughout. Like there's a blend of different kind of film stocks. For it to just make that little money though is pretty shocking. I think it did open the same, like maybe the same week or the week before Lord of the Rings opened. So not a great time, but I wouldn't think necessarily that there'd be a lot of overlap between the people that would really love to go see Ali and the people who were like maybe like just really, really waiting for Lord of the Rings, to come out. So I don't know how much it could really point to that and say like, oh, that's why it failed,
Yep, I don't know. So like I said, critical response was, we'll say like little more than mixed, maybe a little bit more positive. It's got a 69% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Nice.
Roger Ebert did not like this movie. He gave it 2 stars out of 4, and I agree with most of his critiques, but I think I enjoyed it more than Ebert did. He thinks Will Smith is perfect for the role, but that he's just in the wrong movie. And I pulled like the quote from here that I think, I really agree with. He talks about like a lot of the scenes go on way, way too long past they've made their point. And I'm like, yeah, it's 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
You said we watched this and Harry Potter, which is also 2.5 hours for recording. I was like, oh, this has been a long weekend. All right, Roger Ebert. The real problem with Smith's performance is the movie it finds itself in. Smith is the right actor for Ali, but this is the wrong movie. Smith is sharp, fast, funny, like the Ali of trash-talking fame, but the movie doesn't unleash that side of him or his character. Ali was not only the most famous man of his time, but he had fun with his fame. I can't claim any special insights, but I did once spend a day with him, and I saw a man enormously entertained by life, twinkling with bemusement, lowering the tinted glass window of his Rolls limousine so that pedestrians could do a double take when they saw it was the champ. Smith could play that man, but Ali doesn't know or see him. It sees Ali as a more meditative and subdued, as sad sometimes when sadness is the last thing you feel when you risk everything on principle. This film feels like it's under a cloud. And that's, I didn't go hardcore down the rabbit hole in terms of accuracy of this movie. but people were like the fights seem to be super
Spot
accurate,
on.
which I mean they're
Spot on.
they're lengthy. I felt like I was watching 9 rounds of boxing.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of, I mean, oh my.
We got a boxing match going on the screen if you're watching on YouTube right now.
Yo!
And Jubilee's winning.
I know. What are you doing? She keeps like biting me and swatting
Floating
at
like
me.
a butterfly, stinging like a bee.
Stinging like a bee. Oh my god.
Rumble, young cat, rumble.
You see, she's just biting my arm right now.
Now it's Mike Tyson. If Mike Tyson was a cat.
Oh my god. Oh my god. I think she just farted.
Meow Tyson.
God.
Definitely the clip.
Where was I?
There's the intro.
You were talking about
anyway.
How the fights
Yes,
were...
the accuracy of the movie. I mean, like, it skips over... There were, like, 14 fights in the 10 years that it just skips over, to get to kind of the beginning and end. But I'm like, I understand, like, that's not really the movie he's trying to tell. But the kind of biggest complaint is people saying that he comes across as like, more subdued, less dangerous, calm than he was in real life.
Kind of sullen's the word I kept thinking of, watching it and not having that context really about who he was. But even watching it, I know we'll get into it, it felt like it was weighing the movie down a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like there are a lot of shots of Will Smith looking sad, and
well, I think it at this point in Ali's life in this time frame, he is dealing with a lot because he does, of course, deal with the draft dodging, situation where he is forced to relinquish his title and everything, and misses his prime years, and then having to come back and prove that he still has it, and he's lost a step, and he loses to Frazier and those things. Like he was going through a tough time at this time, and I think they chose a good time frame for this movie. It's probably the most important 10 years of Ali's life for sure, but there's so many things that are missed and skipped over, and they really use the political part of it as far as him not going to war and facing jail time and everything else to really set the tone for this movie. And it does definitely hurt Smith's performance as far as like he's charismatic, but like not charismatic enough to.
It's in bursts.
Yeah, which to Ebert's point, Will Smith can absolutely be that kind of magnet. Magnetic personality.
And he totally is at the beginning when he's walking in and, going after Sonny Liston. Come on, you big ugly bear, I'll turn you into a rug. Like he's killing it. He really is. But yeah, and there's some other little quips that he says that are pretty funny little like one-liners and stuff. But yeah, I mean, once the movie gets about an hour in, it's Ali's kind of more like subdued, and that really didn't take place in his life, honestly, until closer to the second Frazier fight or the Spinks fight. That's when he started to really slur his words, slow down, and his movement was different and wasn't as quick-witted as he was before.
All right. Few fun facts. So this was in development for a long time. It took almost 10 years to get made. It was first optioned in 1992 by producer Paul Ardagi, who visited Ali on his 50th birthday and basically begged him to allow a film to be made about his life. The first writer was a guy named Gregory Allen Howard, and his script focused on, it was like from 12 to 40, almost 30 years of his life, and was really written around his relationship with his father. Obviously, that got completely, I guess not completely scrapped because it's still a movie about Muhammad Ali, but
it's definitely sidelined though.
It's significantly so. Gregory Allen Howard has a credit as story by instead of being a writer. So he was replaced by Stephen J. Revell and Chris Wilkinson, but when Michael Mann took over, he brought in Eric Roth as a third co-writer.
That's one thing I know we'll get into that when we talk about the movie more, but you can feel like that this has been touched by a lot of people, and sometimes that can be really bad, and I think this maybe edges up against that. But there's just enough refinement of everything. I think it works.
So in terms of directors, Ron Howard was apparently in contention. Barry Sonnenfeld, who directed Wild Wild West. John Peters was a producer on this. So yeah, he got his giant mechanical spider in Wild Wild West. And apparently Spike Lee was in talks at some point.
Spike Lee should have done this movie.
That could have been good, yeah.
I would have been really interested to see what Spike Lee would have done in this movie.
I think it would have leaned a lot more political, and
it's going to tie into a point I'm going to make later. But Smith preferred Michael Mann.
Nice.
And so he officially took over in February 2001. For 8 years, Will Smith turned down this role because he, quote, did not want to be the dude that messed up the Muhammad Ali story, which I could respect.
Reasonable.
That. Yeah.
Totally fair.
But Ali personally and his family persuaded him to do it. But Michael Mann was the one who really reassured him that they could do this together. And a fun quote from Ali after seeing the movie, he said, "He is a perfect actor. I even thought he was me." Will Smith obviously beefed up for this role. He did extreme physical training, put on 35 pounds of muscles, did not use stunt doubles for the boxing scenes.
It's wild.
That's just so dope.
Very impressive.
But it really adds to the verisimilitude of those scenes. You know, at no point are you like, oh, that's clearly the stunt double.
No, they are getting. I mean, the shots through these
they're so intimate
are amazing.
Yeah.
They really are. And like you said, Allison, it's only because the actors were trained well enough to do it.
A related quote from Michael Mann, and I don't know where he's getting this stats, but just to, I guess, give you an idea of what it would be like to be punched by Muhammad Ali. In his prime, he fought with the speed and agility of a welterweight, but hit as a heavyweight. He threw punches 25% faster than Sugar Ray Robinson, but weighed 50 pounds more, and they landed with 1,000 pounds of force. In the ring with him, his shuffle bewildered you. You couldn't tell if the left or the right would come at you first. Genius is genius, whether it's Einstein or Ayrton or Senna or Michael Jordan. It's conceiving what's never been done before. And that was what I know nothing about boxing. Okay? Nothing. I don't understand what the rounds are. I don't understand how long they like nothing. But watching Will Smith, he was like dancing around and he's so light on his feet. I guess that's where the float like a butterfly part comes from. But it was so interesting to see that and see how he clearly fought so much differently than the few that we see that he was up against.
Well, not only that with Ali, he was so unorthodox too. Ali was like the first boxer to fight with his hands low. He didn't keep them up here. His hands stayed low, and they talk about it. Peter Burns did a great 10-hour long documentary. It's about 4 2.5-hour episodes, and I watched it, mostly listened to it while driving, but definitely would stop certain areas to watch clips so I could check stuff out. But Ali was also very unorthodox in the way that he would slip punches. You know, no other boxer would just lean back and slip that way. They would, move and get out of the way. And Ali's standing there flat-footed and just leaning. And that was like one of the craziest things. Just contorting his
body differently.
Yeah. It was, it was so unorthodox. And while it was part of his beauty and amazement, it's also what led to his downfall towards the end and why he ended up with the, Parkinson's and taking way too many shots to the head. One of the quotes in the documentary, they said after the George Foreman fight, was that the worst thing that happened in that fight was that Ali learned he could take a punch, because Foreman threw haymaker after haymaker after haymaker, and at one point I think he knocked Ali down and Ali got up, and It was either that or it was the Frazier fight. It was one of those two. But I think it was the Foreman fight. But they basically said like that's when like Ali realized, all right, I can take a beating and withstand it and put his body through what he did, and that's how he ended up the way he did. So.
Well, I don't know if he was the person who invented it, but I think he might. He's definitely the person most.
He invented the
rope-a-dope.
The rope-a-dope.
Like the rope. I mean, the rope-a-dope is what he used to beat, Foreman, and they talk about that too. Like his trainer and everybody are telling him, "Get off the ropes. He's killing you. Get off the ropes." And by the 6th or 7th round, he looked over to Angelo and said, "Shut the fuck up." It's literally what he told him. And he was like, "Shut the fuck up." And he just took a beating until Foreman was ready to be gassed, and then he just unloaded on him. I mean, it's smart, but also like you got to have some, just take a beating like that from a man that's, so much younger and more powerful than you, and literally destroyed the guy. I mean, he knocked out Joe Frazier. He knocked him down 6 times in 2.5 minutes in that fight that he beat Frazier for the belt, the fight before he fought Ali. And Frazier, was the first person to beat Ali. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think most people now obviously associate George Foreman with
the
grills and being like a guy that looks like he's at a barbecue. Like he was
a super nice guy. He was
incredibly impressive. Like physically, as an athlete,
he is the guy who's playing, he's physically intimidating. Like he just looks like a brick-shaped house.
Well, that's another thing too. Malcolm X, Sonny Liston, George Foreman, everybody in this movie looks so much like the person they're portraying. It is amazing at how well they casted and did the costumes and makeup and hair and everything. They absolutely nailed it. But yeah, I mean, Foreman was just a mean, awful, ornery son of a bitch when he was a boxer, and like people talk all the time, like if you could ever get Ali and Tyson together, how that match would have went. And Tyson, the closest thing to Tyson ever was Foreman. The way they were knocking people out was the same,
All right. Quote from Michael Mann about the making of this movie. In the early days, in one of my meetings with Ali, he said one of the most important concerns to him was that there be no idolatry, no sugarcoating. He made mistakes and wanted all of them included. I won't read the rest of it, but you kind of get the point. And he says I asked him what was the mistake he most regretted, and he said it was his rejection of Malcolm X. So that's why that plays such a prominent part here. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting that he was saying, "Oh, we're not going to sugarcoat it," but to critics' points, it does feel like he's been sanded down a little bit from what he was in real life, and I feel like Spike Lee wouldn't have done that. But
yeah, that's interesting. I think Spike Lee would have handled. I think it probably would have been leaned more into the political part of his life than it does here. Although I think it does. It carries a big chunk of the movie, that window of time, especially around the draft situation. But I think Lee, would have definitely handled, I think he would have brought out more of the Ali the entertainer than Michael Mann leans into. Because Mann, for better or worse, he's like a thriller guy. And there's parts of this that feel like it's a political thriller, even though it's not. And I think that's maybe the biggest rub against it is the outcome, so it's hard to...
Like when the agents are eating fast food and listening in.
Yeah.
from a hotel room across the street or whatever.
And it's cool, he does. It's well shot and put together as nicely as I think you could if you're going with that angle. But at the end of the day, everybody watching this knows that it's going to end well. That's a hard thing to kind of toe.
Yeah. I think the difference, the main difference between Mann and Spike Lee in this is, other than the political part of it, I think the fights would have looked completely different. I think Mann gives you. Now, I'm not saying that Spike Lee isn't capable of giving you amazing shots, but I don't know. There's just something.
Mann's just gotten more of a documentary kind of style.
Yeah, and it feels so historically accurate. Where I think Lee would have highlighted certain aspects of the fights, but I think Lee's fights would have been grittier. And you would have seen more of
style to it,
more style and more brutality, like in the cuts and things like that, where they're making the guys like bleed, where it looked more like Mann is like going through a step by step. This is exactly what happened in this round. It's almost like a perfect ballet recreation and just beautiful. Makes you feel like you're in the fight. And doesn't. It's still brutal, but doesn't. I think Spike Lee would have made it more gritty.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this is a bad thing, but like it probably would have been more cartoony, and not to say it would have been bad. Just I think it would have had more of a flavor to it.
Yeah,
I think this whole movie would have been more in your face.
Yeah,
and I think Ali, the character would have benefited a ton from Spike Lee directing. I think
100%. Going back to what you said, Allison, about Ali and them not wanting to pull punches and show his flaws and everything else. I do think that like they tried to do that in this movie, but also wanted to get through the main key points. So like he has his infidelity multiple times, but they don't really like harp on how bad he was.
That's the thing that gets glossed over the most by far.
Yes, I mean he was a terrible husband. Yeah, at one point he had 2 wives at the same time. No lie. His third wife had decided that she could put up with it as long as they remain married, and so the reporter that he meets in Africa that he ended up marrying, she learned to get along with her, and they were both his wives at one point together. So
so they're consenting adults. You do you.
Yeah. So they definitely brush over that. I think they brush over one part where Ali mentions that he's broke. And they're like, well, you've made more money than any other heavyweight fighter. They don't talk about how bad he is with his money and how much he's giving it away. One of his wives reportedly said that he would walk out of the house with $30,000 in cash, and anybody that would come up to him and ask for something, he would give them the money, and he would come home.
Oh yeah, he was like known as a big philanthropist when he was at his peak, until later in life, and
that was part, and that that was part of the reason why he boxed as long as he did too, because he felt like if he's not boxing, then the Muslim schools for the Nation of Islam are closing down, and he needs to raise money for his religion and keep the schools open and all of those things. So like those things I think could have definitely have been touched on too, because they did a really good job of trying to show you every aspect of Ali, but he is such a in-depth person that I really do think that if you ever have time, that 10-hour long documentary that's on PBS is so worth it to understand who he was as a person.
Honestly, I feel like you can't tell his story in a 2.5 hour movie, because there are so many really interesting elements to it.
He might be one of the most 5 interesting people of all time, as far as the complete life that he lived. They don't mention it in this movie or in the documentary, but when I was younger in college, I think there was another documentary that came out called I Am Ali, and one of my favorite things told in that story is his brother was like, do y'all know how he learned how to slip punches the way he does? And so in, the west end of Louisville, houses are pretty much right side by side together. And there's only like a little brick, 4x4 concrete slab kind of between them for you to walk through. And his brother, Ali, would have his brother pick up like gravel rocks and chuck them at him as hard as he could in between houses. And Ali would duck them, and that's how he learned how to dodge punches. That's crazy.
Slate, I feel like you should have led this episode.
I'm sorry.
No, it's good.
In the lead up to this, speaking of like this being him being such a hard person to dramatize in a short movie, did y'all know Amazon's apparently making a biopic series about Ali?
No.
I did not know that.
I think Michael B. Jordan is. They've hired the actor. I forgot who it was. I hadn't heard of the guy, but that doesn't mean anything because I'm an old man now. But the Michael B. Jordan's part of like it's a long list of like producers, but Michael B. Jordan's one of the guys that's involved in behind it. So that kind of
that's awesome.
Inspires some confidence.
That is awesome.
Speaking of, being such an interesting, sort of well-rounded person, or I did not know this. He had 2 Grammy nominations for spoken word poetry.
Yeah, the records. Yeah,
it's wild.
And he was known as the Louisville Lip for his trash talking. I didn't know that either.
Well, because he's also, am I wrong to say, is he's like kind of also like the original trash talker too? He was thought of that way.
He was the first boxer to really come out and talk the way he did. I mean, his first, I think, 15 fights, he predicted what round he was going to knock people out or how he was going to beat them. And there were fights where he could have knocked the dude out in the 3rd round, and he was like, well, I said I'm going to knock him out in the 6th, so I guess I'm going to just play with him for 3 rounds. And he would. And that's what he would do, it's crazy. But yeah, I don't know about you guys, but me personally, my family, as far as I remember when I was, 8 years old, Nintendo 64, I bought Knockout Kings 2000. And it's got Ali on the cover of it, and it was one of my favorite boxing games. And I bought it, and of course my grandfather, I bought it and was playing it over at his house, and he was like, I don't know why you would give that man money. He didn't fight for his country, and that whole thing, and didn't like his brashness and the way he carried himself, and just that, my grandfather's generation, not a fan of him. And most people, especially white people at this time, were not a fan of him because he was a black, outspoken, proud, did not care what you thought about him, and, wanted to get under your skin. And he was outspoken against white people somewhat.
He was very, very polarizing, and I don't think this movie necessarily shows that, but again,
it kind of tries to at times, but
it tries to, but it puts
and then it retreats immediately.
It's all right, we made that point, but we didn't delve deep into it, so we can go to the next point where everybody likes him. And then my dad, it was funny, I was talking to my dad when we were at the MMA fights in Louisville, and I told you guys they did a whole thing about being in Ali's town 10 years after he passed away and all of that, and my dad was like, Muhammad Ali was great. I really liked him, but, just wasn't a fan of him not, standing up for his country. And I said, well, actually, he was standing up for his political rights, and I don't blame him 100%. And that's what I told my dad. And he was like, well, and I said, I said, history has shown we had no business being over in Vietnam. He was in the right.
Yeah.
And it was
against
he was
his right.
religion. And he was like, well, I guess
and
you're
he
right.
Was... Well, that's the thing too. People I love the quote they pull in the movie because I assume it's pulled right from something he said because a lot of the things are. I didn't go check this one, but he says he's like, why should I go fight for a country that doesn't fight for me? Or we're still we're still in the tail end of the civil rights movement, and
that is
not the tail end.
That is a legit word for word interaction that was recorded on film when he was like, you my opposer when I want freedom. You that whole my opposer thing was legitimately 100% an Ali quote that happened. Same thing with when he says no Viet Congs ever called me the N-word. Those are legitimate 100% quotes that
that's awesome. I love that. Just the way that they use that stuff because it's it's it feels real.
Well,
even the way it's written, it just feels real.
Well, and clearly you couldn't write something better,
No. But a lot of times we feel like when we're watching these biopics, we understand that the character or that person felt that way in the time, but they create that situation to make those words come across when they really didn't happen, right? And this time it's no. I mean, it's just Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
I'm curious before we. Maybe this is better for later. I'll save this for later. We can go on.
No, also those are the end of my. One more fun fact that I actually didn't write down here, but it wouldn't be not another 2001 movie podcast if we didn't bring up a sex pest.
Oh no!
And who does the song that plays over the credits of this movie?
Oh, R. Kelly.
That's on
the world's greatest.
Kelly.
Oh my God!
Greatest,
world's greatest.
I remember the music video for that song. It's him dressed up in a boxing in black and white. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm glad we could get that one in.
R. Kelly's got a couple songs on this soundtrack. One of them, other than World's Greatest, is in at some point in this film. It's absurd.
And with that, all right, guys.
One thing about this movie.
What do y'all think about this movie?
I like it. It's this was my first time watching it, and like we talked about, with it underperforming, I did remember the poster, and I remember it coming out and thinking and seeing it at my little movie theater that we would go to in South Williamson. But again, it was also something like, I wasn't a sports person. I didn't grow up as a sports person, which, I tell people that now and they think it's just so weird, but I didn't care about sports until I was like 16 or 15, 16. So, and I never have cared about boxing. I still don't really. So it was something that just never attracted me. Like, it never felt like something I had to go see. But now, obviously I knew we were going to watch it for the show. But also, like, Michael Mann, I've obviously kind of gotten a fondness for him over time. And Will Smith, Will Smith, obviously he's phenomenal. But it was weird. My situation watching it was weird. I told you guys I woke up at 4:30, literally the morning of this recording, and started watching it.
I had a lot of questions that didn't have time to ask about that. So I was like, were you up all night? Did you wake up early? Did Jason wake you up?
It's a combination of things. The Too Long Didn't Read version was, I came home less than sober, fell asleep at like 8:30.
You didn't sleep in your car?
No, I slept in the floor this time, actually, of my living room. And then Jason also, he did wake up at that time at about 4:30 in the morning, and so just, we took care of that, and then I was like, I'm up, and I need to watch this movie still, so I'm just going to crack open Ali and get some water in me and start my hangover with this, which is which is an interesting way to watch it, but it's entertaining. The fights for me are the high. I mean, they're just so well shot, and right away too, you get thrown into it like immediately. You don't pussyfoot around like a lot of build up to something. Like a different movie would have made you wait like 30 minutes to get into a fight,
Oh, it doesn't quite bookend the movie, but almost.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel like the fight is kind of the second big scene to start.
Yeah.
And that first 20-25 minutes of the movie, maybe, I mean, as far as like table setting, it's a long movie, so it kind of peters out. For me especially, it's once you get into that last 45 minutes, it starts to kind of peter out. Not because what you're watching isn't interesting. It's just like, I feel like you're reiterating already some of the things you've already seen by that point. Like, you're kind of having another interaction with one of the women he's cheating on and meeting. It's like, it's kind of, you're repeating some of the same beats down the stretch, even though you kind of have to, in a way.
Oh, you mean the girl who's holding up the round card at the end of the fight when she winks at Ali?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But the first 20-25 minutes of this are some of the best first chunk of a movie of anything we've watched, I think. I mean, I think it really stands apart. And the fights just alone, if you just stripped out the fights of this, you could probably do a cool super cut and just watch the movie that way, and it would be pretty a fascinating watch.
Yeah, yeah, for me, as somebody who's always idolized Muhammad Ali, Josh, I don't know if you remember, but in college, I had the poster of him knocking out Sonny Liston in my room. I've always just, my best friend growing up was a boxer and was a damn good one, and so he really brought me into the fold of just learning more about boxing and being more proud of Muhammad Ali being from Louisville, and learning all right, yeah, I get it. This guy was 54-5 or whatever he was, and all right, so he must have been great. But then learning more about what made him great was so cool. I really enjoyed this movie. I think the performances and everything are fantastic. I think that the way the film is shot, camera, I think Michael Mann was great. I honestly think that the actors, directors, I think that it was all selected perfectly for its time. If we could have put our demographic and the movie seats at that time, it would have been more successful. Does that make sense? Like, I think part of the thing that's working,
it was probably too ahead of its audience.
I think part of it was working against it was that, like, Muhammad Ali still wasn't like super well liked in 2001. I mean, and the people that are paying money to go see a rated R movie at that time, like my mom and dad had no reason to want to go watch anything about Muhammad Ali, you know? So like it's I think that's part of the problem.
I think it's a good point.
So I do think that's part of the problem there. I think if you released it, you know, a new version of it today, it would have a different success story. But I think the main problem with this film is we've already kind of touched about it, but like it still focuses on this 10 years, but it still misses so much of its mark. And I don't think it's so hard to hit every note that they're trying to hit. Like we talked about biopics before. I don't know how or why, but the way they did Ray is the best biopic I've ever seen. And like if this could have followed that formula somehow, maybe it would have fit better for me, but it's just hard to do. But I just thought it was weird that, you know, everybody knows that Ali and Frazier had 3 fights and they only show 1. And like, that was weird. And the time, if you don't like before I watched this movie, I knew of all of these. Well, I saw this movie when it first came out, but before I watched it again recently, I knew of all the highlights of what they're going to touch on in this movie and where it goes. But trying to keep up with like, okay, so how far has time passed between these things?
That was one of my notes. It's really hard to keep up with the time if you don't know, or if you've not. Like I was literally like kind of checking Wikipedia as I was watching, because I was like, when is this happening? Like, because it doesn't give you any indication what year you're in at all.
You have have to pay attention. Like if you didn't live through it and don't know when these things happen, you have no idea how much time has passed. Like it could be a month, it could be 6 months, it could be 3 years, and you didn't realize it. And so like that was a hard part. I think that was the hardest part, was trying to keep up with that. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think Will Smith did an amazing job doing his best to encapsulate Ali. I think that he, like you all said, he even when he's like ratcheting up Ali at his quickest, he's trying to sound so smooth like Ali. It feels like the impersonation there, because when Ali like starts talking fast and yelling, he doesn't sound smooth. He's more grittier and raspier, and he's like yelling through a distorted microphone versus like where he's like, oh, you know, you big ugly bear. But that's not how he sounded. He was like more aggressive, if that makes sense. But you know, I really enjoyed it. I thought the Malcolm X sequence was well done. It's probably one of my most favorite things I've seen in a movie that doesn't even pertain to the main character, because they did a really good job with that and the effect that it had on Muhammad too. So, but all in all, I enjoyed the movie. It doesn't feel like 2.5 hours to me, but maybe it's just because I just love historical pieces like this about somebody that I think is extremely important to history.
Yep. I like it. I don't love it. I think Will Smith's great, but I will agree that it does. I feel like he could be even more bombastic. I feel like Michael Mann more or less kind of got across the point he was going for. You know, it does give you kind of the reasons why he is a cultural icon. A few of the reasons, I should say, but I think it really helps give some context, even despite skipping over a lot of stuff and whitewashing, if you will, a few things. But I mean, it's 2.5 hours, and I did feel the 2.5 hours. But I think part of it was, I mean, the first fight goes on for like 10 minutes. I did like kind of go back and see, and it's not that I was bored; it's that like, I don't enjoy boxing, and like I was so stressed out.
Yeah.
Just like I'm like, oh my God, when is this gonna end? When is this gonna like get a concussion? That looks so painful, and it goes on and on and on. And I think that's part of my reaction of like, oh my God, this movie is taking forever. And that last fight is longer.
It's 20 minutes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, there's 30 minutes of your movie is just fighting.
Yeah, and I think that's intentional. Obviously, like you're really trying to go for that effect. But if it's you're tempting fate as a filmmaker, I think when you're, that can hurt you as much as help you, even though if it's what you're going for.
But see, there's so many like swings in momentum in storylines just in the Joe Frazier fight itself that I think they didn't really spend as much time in that Frazier fight that you could have. Even the build up to it. Two other things that I wish that they would have put kind of more into this movie was that one of the other things that made Ali great was he would fight so quickly, as far as like how many like boxers and fighters nowadays would fight once, maybe twice a year.
Oh yeah, he would go like,
at one point he fought 5 guys within 15 months. I mean, that's absurd. Like every 3 months he's just chucking out fights. And then secondly, I wish they had shown more about his and this is one of the negative things about Ali. He would always paint his person out to be the villain, but he would do it in a bad way. Like Joe Frazier, you're the white people's champ. You're an Uncle Tom, and he would. No, I'm serious. Like that's what he would constantly call him an Uncle Tom, and you're the white people's champion. They want you, they don't want me because I'm a black Muslim, and like. But he would take it to even another level further than that. And, after the third fight and stuff, Ali talked about how he respects Joe Frazier. Joe Frazier never forgave Ali till the day he died.
Yeah, the movie kind of paints them almost as buddies.
As friends. Yeah. Because Frazier actually did lend Ali money when Ali was not fighting.
What does he say? He gets in the car and he's like, "You look like the heavyweight of pimps."
Yeah.
The heavyweight champion of pimps.
Oh man. So, but they and that's the other thing too. They didn't talk about just how much that took a toll on both of them, their bodies, especially the second fight. Like Frazier didn't even make it to the the post fight press conference. And Ali didn't get out of bed for a week. He was pissing blood. And just the brutality of what these fights did to these men changes them forever.
Let's talk about some of the other casting. Okay, J.B. Fox's hair as
that's Boudini's hair. That's his real hair.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's amazing.
Though. Like we can acknowledge that it's fucking wild, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Boudini Brown though, he nailed it. He looked just like him.
I laughed. I put the quote in here somewhere. Toward the end when I think it's one of the reporters is like, "Hey, you think it's about time for a hairpiece?" He's like, "What you talking about a hairpiece for? You already done lost all your hair, you cue ball-headed motherfucker."
He also says, what does he say? He says, "I like Muhammad because he accepts me." He says, I'm a black Jewish Christian and I love women and alcohol."
And he said,
"I'm a black Jew. I'm half drunk and I can't read."
Yeah.
What does he say at some point? He's having an interaction with a reporter or somebody. He's like, I drink and love white women and I could give up alcohol, but them white women, whew.
Yeah.
How do y'all handle it or something?
Yeah, it's so good. Oh man.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty great casting. I feel like Jeffrey Wright doesn't really get much to do. He's just always kind of like hanging out in the background. I mean, he's taking photos, but I think he's such a good actor, and I'm like, well, it's just not much of a role, but
well, and it's one of those things too. Like the way they shoot him, sometimes they make it seem like he's way more important in the movie than he is. Like there's points like the way that will linger on him, and you think, oh, is this guy like going to like fucking shank Ali at some point or something? Like it's like
it's like Selena,
blackmailing something, yeah.
And they just it just doesn't, spoiler, nothing like that ever happens. He's just kind of there in the background, like you said.
Yeah. And Mario Van Peebles is Malcolm X.
He's fantastic. Oh my God.
I could just stare at those eyes forever.
When you in the notes you wrote is fine, and it took me a minute because I was like, I thought he was pretty good, and then I'm like, oh, she means like fine.
Yeah, he's fine.
He is Melvin Van Peebles is his father, who is like we talked about exploitation movies back. He was like a kind of the guy who kicked off like blaxploitation stuff. And Mario played his dad in a biopic a couple years after this movie called It's Badass. It's like the name of Melvin Van Peebles like big movie.
Nice.
I've never watched that, but
I'm probably gonna get some flack for this hot take, but I honestly preferred Mario Van Peebles' Malcolm X to Denzel's Malcolm X.
I've never watched the Denzel Malcolm X.
Dude, Denzel and Malcolm X is an amazing Spike Lee movie. Don't get me wrong, but I just think he looked and sounded and carried himself so much like Malcolm X. Obviously, it's easier to do for 10 minutes of a portrayal versus 2 hours, but damn, I loved it.
I will say the whole rejection scene I thought was pretty brutal.
It's more heartbreaking than anything that happens with any of the women in this movie.
It really is.
But they were because
at first they're like, "Oh, we just both happened to be here," and he hugs him, and then just to be like, you shouldn't have done Muhammad Elijah that way, and just it was such a weird.
You shouldn't have quarreled with the honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what they don't talk about in this movie is just how close that Malcolm and I mean they show it, but what they don't really talk about is one, Muhammad Ali before he's before he's like a famous boxer, him and his brother are interested in the Nation of Islam, and so they go, and Malcolm X opens up for Elijah Muhammad at this event, and they meet him there. And Elijah Muhammad was anti-boxing. He did not like Muhammad Ali. It was against their religion to fight and to be braggadocious and to be outspoken the way that Muhammad Ali was. So he actually was not a fan of Muhammad Ali until he realized the amount of money and press that Muhammad Ali could bring in, and how much that people could ultimately convert to the religion because of him. And so for the longest time, Malcolm X is like, you need to, meet this brother. You need to, embrace him. And Elijah Muhammad's not really willing to do that until Muhammad Ali wins the championship. And then he does it. And then also at the same time, Malcolm has been kicked out of the Nation of Islam. And now he is bringing in Ali closer by giving him the name Muhammad Ali to push out Malcolm, because now he has what he needed for Malcolm. And now Malcolm's starting to do his own thing. And so he's bringing in Ali so that Ali doesn't go with Malcolm. And that's like it's sad, but Muhammad Ali's literally being used as a pawn almost by both of them. And they don't really touch on that here. But yeah, I just thought that was worth noting.
Well, and there's a way that I think this movie, you could have, your climax becomes very different. But you could have just made the movie that, right? Like, just that relationship, and end it like in what, 70, or not even 70, you're like in 67 or 68, and that, or 69 is when Malcolm X gets assassinated, I think. I don't recall for sure, but like that could be like your climax, and it really have that, show the effect that, like, because obviously he's spoken that, about having regrets about the way their relationship, obviously didn't get to have closure or reconciliation, and that could have been an interesting way to try to tackle the subject.
And one of the other things that they don't throw in this movie is that, after Ali loses the title and everything, I don't remember exactly what he says or does, but he does something that upsets Elijah Muhammad, and Elijah Muhammad does a similar thing that he did with Malcolm X, and he puts a ban on Muhammad Ali, and Muhammad Ali, even though Elijah Muhammad has suspended him from the Nation of Islam, is still being an active Muslim and still keeping his name, even though they've taken him out of the Muslim paper and he's not part of the nation anymore. And essentially, Elijah Muhammad is saying, like, you need to go back to using Cassius Clay. You're no longer Muhammad Ali. And Muhammad Ali is just actively, like, doing what he can to work himself back into the good graces of the Nation of Islam, which is another.
Well, so when they finally, accept him back, he's like, I never stopped being a Muslim. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm not even sure that Elijah Muhammad, it's covered in the documentary. I'm not even sure if Elijah Muhammad ends up being the one that really reinstates Muhammad Ali. I think it's his son that takes over after he dies.
Yeah, his son takes over after he dies.
Yeah, not Herbert, not the one that's in. Is it Herbert? No, it's not Herbert. It's the other
son. I
think.
Wallace. I think I was reading a bunch of this stuff earlier. I think Wallace might be the guy's name. But and they do like kind of really gloss through that real fast. Like it's a quick montage scene. But I do think the movie does a good job, even though it doesn't get into the nitty-gritty of the details. It does do a good job throughout of definitely painting Ali authentically. I think this is true to him as, I care about this. I believe what this religion's teaching, but I'm me also. Like, I'm very much like, I am who I am, and you're getting who I am, and I all the warts and all, right? Like,
that's what I love about him is that he's just unapologetically him about himself and all assets, and doesn't try to hide behind it. He's, very upfront and honest about that.
Which you were talking about earlier about, like, people converting, and I laughed. So Jada Pinkett Smith rolls into this movie for just a couple of scenes as an ex-Playboy bunny that he kind of falls in love with, and it in the movie, I didn't look up their relationship further, but it's like they meet, they dance, they have sex, and then they get married.
Well, you forgot where she asked if he's a virgin. He's like, am I damn? Like,
yeah. But when he's like, you're gonna have to, convert and become a Muslim, and she's just like, what? But she does, and
it doesn't work out so well.
That this is not gonna work.
Doomed from the beginning.
His family loved her. She might have been their most favorite person that he was with, and had it not been for her almost being exactly like Ali as far as like being outspoken and being about herself and wanting to wear what she wants to wear.
Yeah.
How dare she?
You can't tell this lady she can't wear like skimpy, like glittery dresses. Come on.
It probably would have worked out had he not been a Muslim. But yeah, no, I did love the Jada Pinkett cameo, and I remember at this time when they're doing the promo for this, Jada Pinkett was talking about how much she loved this movie because of like the shape that Will was in. She was like, my husband's got a 6-pack, y'all.
Well, we know Will will fight for her.
It's interesting that they have the big sex scene. It is just kind of like with Cruz and Kidman on Eyes Wide Shut. I'm like, was this awkward?
I guarantee it was.
But I feel like Will Smith probably has the personality to like not make people feel weird.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Jon Voight is really good, and I hate to say that because I don't like him.
Yeah, he's kind of become a shitty person later in his life.
But I think he does a good job as Cosell, and honestly,
he's awesome.
That relationship is the real heart of this movie, especially since Malcolm X he's assassinated fairly early on, but Cosell's that constant presence there, and just their banter back and forth is really the highlight of the movie.
Well, and that's another thing that's like super authentic to it. Like, and this was at a time where like, TV, sports journalism's kind of like becoming, a bigger thing. And Cosell's one of the early, like, the guy. And he sounds like it's pretty incredible what, obviously Voight, the person's kind of become lousy, but he melts into that character as much as Will Smith kind of melts into Ali, and it's pretty astonishing. Tell me this, like, when I listen to Will Smith in this movie, it is hard for me not to hear Charles Barkley at times. Like, 'cause he's got that, like, kind of that
I can see
southern,
that.
He's got
like,
the
kinda,
deeper
like,
southern drawl.
yeah, and it's
Yeah.
like, so it's like he almost doesn't, like, I mean, kind of, he does sound like Ali at times, but like it's almost more like even more southern, like, you know, guy
You can
that-
still hear Will Smith too. Like he
Mhm.
clearly and Voight sounds so much like Cosell. It's,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
amazing. You know,
But when they're going back and forth on some of those things that are like they have a relationship, but they're fucking with each other a little bit.
I
It's
love
like,
I love the back and forth, and it's so funny because when I first watched this movie when I was younger, I was like, man, they must hate each other. Like I didn't catch that's just how men were, you know, and how they interacted, and it was actually a love language. But what is the line he says where he's like, him and Ali are going back and forth, and he says something about, I think it's like, now you're just being precocious or something. And he's like, well, if that's good, I'm it.
yeah.
I wrote down a couple of them when Ali's like, man, without me, you'd just be a mouth and a microphone. And Cosell's like, and without me, you'd just be a mouth.
Just be a mouth. He lifts the hairpiece up.
Yeah. Why
my
would
fav-
you do that to a man that you revere?
What does he say? At some point, he says something about
I'll give $1,000 to anyone who can
bring me Cosell's
bring me
toupee,
Cosell's
dead or
toupee.
alive. There's one point he's going on about his wife or something. I don't remember what Cosell
Yeah, he's like,
said
I got to
him.
save Mrs. Cosell from you or something. Or what does your wife think about? Yeah.
Some really terrific stuff. But yeah, but it's also like emblematic of this time where and it's still, this happens. Like there are athletes, major significant athletes who develop relationships with, it's become less true now, and I'll get more into that later, but like the reporter athlete relationship led to moments like that in real life, like where you could like present a certain way, but then right off when the camera stops rolling, you've become friends just because of how much you're working together, as people.
I have to imagine that again, I work in public relations, and I have a hard time imagining any high-profile figure, sports or otherwise, kind of acting like that. So, without it being calculated, I guess.
I think there are people who do, I think, still act in a way that's, I won't even say transparent, but like that they kind of present, but like the relationship part of it is like, I think because they just go direct. You can just turn your camera on and start going off. I mean, there's been some stupid motherfuckers do some kind of crazy stuff. I mean, I'm thinking, like, for some reason, Paul Pierce is the first one that comes to mind, Slate, and you like, dude getting on Instagram. This is a retired NBA player getting on Instagram with strippers and stuff. It's like, what are you doing, buddy? Like, what are you doing? Like, and then
after he just signed a media deal too. Didn't he just sign?
Yeah, he just signed like an ESPN deal or something. And when that happened, it's like, come on, man.
Well, I mean, Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini. I mean,
that's like the other thing. It just becomes more, and then there's like always the ethics question, because they probably weren't talking about that as much back in this time, but yeah, it's interesting to see that window. As somebody who's been on both sides of that coin a little bit, it's cool to just see it preserved in this way.
I also, and I don't know if this is accurate or not, but Cosell's the one who calls him near the end to tell him that he's won the court case.
I did wonder, if that was authentic or if that was just more like a movie.
Authentic.
Like
that was not authentic. I forgot. Ali was like in a grocery store, and it was like, or a convenience store, like a gas station type convenience store. And the guy that was checking him out told him, and he said, "What?" And he turned it on the news and showed him that he had won it, and that's how he found out. But yeah, I just, the Cosell thing is awesome. I love that. I had something else I was gonna say and I can't remember, and that's fine. I feel like I'm talking too much anyway. So.
That's what we're here for.
No, you have way more knowledge about this than I do.
Allison's going to bring the heat next week from hell. That's what she's going to turn the tables.
I tell you what, I started reading that book. It's something.
I didn't recognize Giancarlo Esposito at first.
It took me a minute.
As his dad, yeah,
It took me a minute.
crazy. Yeah. Which is where Ali got his infidelity from, if you didn't know that.
Runs in the family,
Seriously?
huh?
His dad was known for running around a lot on his mom.
25 years later, the whole sequence about Vietnam and being accused of draft, I find it more prescient even now, I think. Even though even at that time we're so far removed from Vietnam that, like you said, like we can be like that wasn't great, guys. That was a mistake. But just given the political temperature of how things are now, it seems even more impressive to me to kind of stand up and be like, I'm not gonna do this, and we shouldn't be doing it. And
well, it's like I have a hard time imagining anybody in any sport doing that today. Because like this is at a point where boxing was, it's towards the tail end, but like the sport, like the big thing, as far as like it's in the mix. And like it's like kind of probably like what the NBA or MLB is today in terms of, how much attention it demands from people. It's that,
Do you guys want to know why he got off? It's going to blow your mind. So Muhammad Ali, the Supreme Court didn't even want to take his case. They wanted to deny it because they wanted to set a precedent and say essentially that, like, we don't care that you're, what your reason is. You got drafted. You need to be part of this war. And, but they were persuaded to take the case because, like, what kind of precedent does that set for everyday going normal Americans who want to take their case in the Supreme Court, and you won't hear one of the, most famous people on earth plead their case, right? They ended up essentially, I think, a split vote at one point. But what happened was that they found Ali was going to jail, and as soon, like right before the decision was finalized, there was a lawyer that had shown that on the arrest ticket or whatever they, the paperwork that they put in for Ali and why he was dodging the draft and why he was arrested, they didn't put any cause for his arrest. And that is how Muhammad Ali won his case.
Technicality, baby.
Nut.
So crazy to me.
And like if you know this, in the movie, they're like, I can't remember where he's basically gonna get like a cushy version of serving.
Yeah, I mean he's gonna do the Elvis treatment,
Yeah, right. This was, but he's even turns that down. Like, no, I'm not gonna. This goes against my beliefs, and I'm just not gonna do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's essentially what it was. They offer, like, everybody knew, like, dude, you go over there, you're going to be putting on like sparring sessions and just entertaining people, and
you're not really even going to be a soldier, really,
Yeah, and he just was completely against it, and like respect for that. Anybody else would have just got along to get along, and stayed fresh over there and probably got in the best shape of their life for the next 8 to 12 months doing boxing over there, and then come back and fight whoever. Hell, I mean, Ali was very big about making money. I could have seen Ali saying, Joe Frazier, come over here and me and you will fight in front of the troops for the belt,
Well, and he could have also used it if he'd been selfish about it, as a conversion opportunity, like to kind of go over and try to preach or whatever, like.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me that I did read when they were filming in Zaire, where he's going through the crowd and they're all chanting,
Ali
Boumaiah
Boumaiah.
Ali. Yeah.
It's Ali Boumaier.
Which means kill him.
Yep.
But Michael Mann said that the people had no idea who Will Smith was. Like, they kept chanting, but they all knew the story of Muhammad Ali.
That's cool.
That's awesome. We were talking about the budget earlier. That's why they actually went to fucking places and filmed. That's why I thought
that
so
too
expensive.
about the budget, because they traveled and didn't try to green screen a shitty African.
Oh, it's like God, yeah. We're talking about like because what is that Amazon show going to look like? I mean, it's like there's no way it will look half as good as this movie does, right? Like, no way.
It's going to be hard to do that because this movie, as far as the setting and the aesthetic and just encapsulating the time, does a phenomenal job.
In my notes here at the Rumble in the Jungle, Don King. I can't remember what he says. He says a bunch of words that start with D, and he's like, "Damn, Don, you're crazy. You must have studied the whole D section of the dictionary."
Yeah.
I love though, like that. I mean, you can tell like they have a contentious relationship, which was apparently also true to life. That I mean, he just when he just tells him to shut up at some point during one of those press conferences, like it's like I assume that probably really happened, but like I was like, damn, like this, like it kind of comes out of nowhere, and like it's like, oh, and
yes and no. So Ali was originally, he got a contract that no other boxer ever got. It was absurd. He got a contract from a group of Louisville elites that were millionaires that offered him a guaranteed contract plus percentages of his fight revenues and stuff. They honestly the reason why they did it was because they saw this kid from Louisville and they didn't want him to be caught up in the mob, which had ties to Sonny Liston and every other boxer, and they were fixing fights, and they wanted Ali to feel protected. And essentially, his relationship with the Nation of Islam is what forced them out after their contract was up. And then that's when Herbert Muhammad is essentially now Muhammad's advisor and his guy that's booking his fights and everything like that. And then when he gets separated from the Nation of Islam, that's when Don King comes in the fold, and Don becomes his next guy. While they're combative, he sticks with Don King to make the most money. Ali is very money hungry and savvy, and it's because he has a lot of plates and mouths to feed. I mean, he's feeding his entire 75 baby mamas and kids and his entourage of people. He ends up buying
he's a lot of people's meal ticket.
Yeah, he ends up buying all this land in Philadelphia or in Pennsylvania. Yeah, and essentially like 30 people live there. And you've got cooks and everything else, and then you're training boxers.
He had 9 children. Too. I was like, I knew I'd read it earlier. 9 children across the 4.
And he bought his own tour bus and would drive his own bus around. It's so awesome. I love it. I love it.
So one thing that we haven't mentioned that they make clear in the movie is, this whole fighting with the U.S. over Vietnam and being put in jail, having his passport taken away. So he can't fight. He can't leave the country, so he can't set up fights in other countries. Almost nobody in the U.S. will allow him to fight. And he's missing out on what are considered the prime years of boxing, essentially, which is so when he finally wins the court case and comes back, not that he's past his prime, but maybe a little older, hasn't really fought in a while, and
yeah, they announced after his first fight that they feel he's lost a step. It's not in the movie, but a lot of writers are talking about it while, it just, because I think he has a tune-up for Frazier, and they're like, the old Ali would have dodged these punches. He's not dodging them the way, and he's not dancing the way he does, and, it's really not till, I think, the second Spinks fight where he gets in some great shape and starts dancing and moving around the ring again. This second part of his career is just he's almost a different fighter trying to learn how to maneuver through different ages, and he's also taking his training a lot less seriously. He's
got a lot of distractions going on.
Yes. Cutting out early and sleeping with multiple women. There was I think before the first Spinks fight, he took him like so unseriously that he was in bed with 2 women, I think an hour before the match is what they said. No, seriously.
Just blowing off a little steam.
And he got his shit rocked, of course. But
that's what I find it, the fight against Foreman at the end, interesting that he, I assume he realizes, because again, Foreman's a brick shit house. He's like, this guy like knocked Joe Frazier flat on his ass. Like,
he killed him. Yeah.
And so instead he's like, I'm just gonna stand here against the rope and let him just like wear himself out throwing punches at me, which reminds me of speaking of 96 basketball, Rick Pitino's teams. I remember they were kind of well known for like running, full court press, and just they're relentless. So athletic. They run so much they just wear out the opponent because they never stop moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like a relentless pursuit, But yeah, if you guys don't know, if you're listening to this podcast, if you don't know and you haven't seen, like, you need to just watch. It's quick. It's like 2.5 minutes. Just watch George Foreman dismember Joe Frazier. Because Joe Frazier comes off beating Muhammad Ali, you know what I mean? And Muhammad Ali is the greatest, and he beats Ali, and it's an amazing fight. And now like everybody thinks that Frazier, and he is one of the greatest boxers of all time. And, they're just thinking that Frazier's like, oh man, who's going to beat him, right? And Foreman comes up and makes Frazier look like a 95-year-old man fighting a 20-year-old kid. He knocks him down 6 times in the first round, and the referee's finally like, yo, it's over, bro. Like, you're going to die in here.
It's toward the end of the Foreman-Ali fight, when you can see that he's getting visibly tired, and you could just tell by the look on his face and then the way he's like trying to throw the punches, and then suddenly Ali kind of like pops up and, is dancing around. And I really like the way that whole, again, it's true to life, but the way that fight played out felt like it could be something written for a movie script and not something that happened in real life.
Absolutely. They do a beautiful job of telling that story.
And even though the fights are like in large part recreations, like, it takes a lot of craft to make a recreation look that good.
Yeah.
Like, and the way the camera is placed and where the cameras are placed, especially in a lot of the early fights, like you got like some over the shoulder stuff and like kind of at the waistline top and like real close in. It's not like, Mann really does a phenomenal job of putting you in every perspective of almost all of these fights, and it's pretty astounding. It's a very visceral thing to watch, even if you don't care about the sport. Like, it's still incredibly effective.
Any other things we haven't touched on? My ultimate, I like this movie. Again, I think it's a little flawed. Scenes go on a little bit too long, a little bit glossier maybe than his real life, but it doesn't bother me as much in this movie as it did with A Beautiful Mind.
No.
I thought you were going to say Pearl Harbor.
Pearl Harbor.
Yeah,
Pearl Harbor bombed again.
Yeah, I'm with you. I probably maybe like it a little more than you did. Although it is one of those things, like, I'm having a hard time visualizing when I would watch this again. Which isn't necessarily a judge of its quality, but more like, I just don't know when I'm going to fill up for watching it again. Like, but it's something that I really enjoy. Again, I think Mann was the right director, because I think that kind of documentary sort of style lends itself well here. And I do think this, what I said earlier about the final, like 30, 45 minutes, like, you're kind of, it is almost like it's almost like that's just like you could almost start there and kind of get a sense of the entire movie in some ways, and in a way that's good, but it also, like, after you've been through that whole lead up there, it's kind of starts to kind of just get, it's not poorly constructed, but it's just kind of, you're kind of in the mud a little bit towards the end, and for me at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think that obviously I love this movie, and I can be a fan of someone and not like a biopic about them. I think we've already discussed that. Like, I'm a huge Tupac fan, and I love the performance that Demetrius Shipp Jr. has as Tupac. I think the movie itself is pretty bad, and I haven't really rewatched it since I saw it in theaters, maybe once since then. This movie, I really enjoy. Like, I do like it a lot. It's weird though, like, after watching the 10-hour long documentary that I watched, if I want to watch something about Muhammad Ali, I'm probably going to lean on that, because that's so
basically what Roger Ebert's and a few other critics said. Of course, it wasn't Ken Burns, because that was made much later. But they were
Burns
like,
is so good, man.
But they were like, there's several older documentaries that they were like, just go watch these.
Yeah, I mean, this is a good movie. Like, this would be a good movie for me to show Sophia, like my daughter's
intro to Ali.
Yeah, you know, and she caught me, you know, watching, because, like, dude, I had a 6.5-hour drive to Cleveland, so what I did, I put the documentary on, and I just had it, like, in the little center console, and so I could listen to it and glance down if I needed to, because some of the fights, like, I kind of wanted to see a bit of it, you know, but you know, she asked me a little bit about it when she wasn't, like, playing on her tablet or playing her Switch in the back seat. And so, and I was trying to explain, like, who Muhammad Ali was to her and why he's important and stuff. And she asked me some insightful questions about some of his political stances and stuff, and me trying to explain them to her. But I think that you know, this would be a decent movie to show her, you know, maybe now or in a couple of years. And but obviously, like, if I wanted to really teach her who he was as a person, it would be the Ken Burns documentary. And that's how I feel about this myself. Like, if I want to see a good Will Smith performance, or just like a movie version of Ali, like, this is a very good movie in that aspect. I enjoy it. It's nowhere near the bottom list of, like, biopics, and I wouldn't say it's
a good biopic. I would say it's definitely a good biopic.
Yeah, I would agree.
So yeah, I mean, I enjoy it. Yeah.
So, Slate, before you hopped on, Josh was like, "Oh, I'm surprised you went with this." And so I had a bunch of different ideas. I was like, well, maybe I'll, you know, could go into more about boxing as a sport. No, I don't know anything about it. That's not in my wheelhouse. Maybe I could do something about Howard Cosell. No, that's too much work, and I'm, you know, again, not my wheelhouse. Thought about doing something about Will Smith. And, you know, where
it would have been the easy ones.
Where he is now, and I was just like, well, I feel like that's been talked to death. I'm like, oh, I could do something about the civil rights movement, and I'm like, maybe a basic white bitch shouldn't be the one to lead that conversation. So what I settled on is something that is in my wheelhouse, being healthcare adjacent, we shall say, and working with doctors and researchers for almost 2 decades now. But even the world's greatest can be taken down by an illness, and in Ali's case, it was Parkinson's disease. So we're going to learn a little bit about this really terrible degenerative neurological disease.
Allison,
so in
before
short,
you get into it,
yeah,
I gotta throw a jab out there. If Josh was doing this bonus feature, it would be a front to back history lesson on the Nation of Islam.
Yeah, you're right. It's like to break out the controversial topics.
Yeah. Okay, so in short, this is a very, like, too long didn't read version. Parkinson's is a nervous system disorder. So nerve cells in the brain, they become damaged or die, leads to tremors, issues with movement and balance, stiffness across the body. So more specifically, when cells die in a part of the brain called the substantia nigra, it's where dopamine is produced. So most people have heard of dopamine in reference to it's the feel good, helps you feel pleasure, basically. People joke about it all the time, like, oh, just need like eat like a little treat and you get that little like rush of dopamine that makes you feel happy. But it also serves physical functions. Amongst many other things, it's a messenger chemical that helps your body produce smooth and powerful movements. So by the time people with Parkinson's start actually showing symptoms, most of them have lost 60 to 80% of the cells that produce dopamine in the substantia nigra.
Damn.
So Parkinson's, it's chronic and progressive. That means there's no cure as of yet, and the disease worsens over time. And eventually your symptoms get to the point where your everyday bodily functions, chewing, swallowing, speaking, using the bathroom, etc., start to break down, and kind of that ultimately, leads to death. Or it at least leads to your body becoming in such a state that something else, I think with Ali, I think he had pneumonia, maybe, and ended up hospitalized. But, weakens your body to the point where another infection can kill you.
He had, it was some infection in his lungs, or, pneumonia probably.
So treatment for Parkinson's is really symptom management. There's a lot of different medications, and it's kind. Everyone is different, so it's kind of a cocktail to figure out what is actually going to help you. So you might get a drug that helps your brain produce more dopamine, or you might get something that's meant to really like calm tremors, or etc. There's more invasive options, surgery to remove lesions in the brain, but more commonly a procedure known as deep brain stimulation. And I've worked a lot with a neurosurgeon at the university who, one, is one of the like nicest, kindest people I've ever worked with. And you don't get to say that about a lot of surgeons, but his bedside manner is just fantastic. He's so good at explaining things. But DBS is, think of it like a pacemaker for the brain. So you got a little like battery pack here, the wire that goes up into the brain, and then it carries the electrical signal through your body to help produce movement, basically. So it's kind of like replacing something that was lost. And I've met some patients who've had not necessarily Parkinson's, but other types of movement disorders who've received this treatment. And there's one in particular, she had dystonia and just constant spasms. So she was in a wheelchair and just like literally like this, just constant, couldn't quit moving, all constantly jerking. And you're like looking at that like, oh my God, how can anyone basically do anything in life, because she cannot stop these movements. Had this procedure done and could walk, talk, got her driver's license.
Wow.
And went and got a tattoo because she could finally sit still long enough to get the tattoo that she'd always wanted. Awesome. And it's one of those things that you put the before and after video side by side, and it made me like really, really emotional. It's like this, it's so amazing to be able to do that for someone. It doesn't work on everybody, obviously, but for the people that it does help, it's truly, truly life-changing.
Science is cool.
Science is cool. So Muhammad Ali was diagnosed with what they call young onset Parkinson's, because he's younger than most people who develop it. And people assume that it was brought on by years of head trauma, but that may not actually be the case. I linked to it here in the show notes, but after his death, there were 3 doctors who kind of went back through his medical history and provided evidence that basically they think that his type of Parkinson's was idiopathic, meaning the cause is unknown, no clear cause. And even though that sounds absurd, like this guy was hitting the head over and over, they were saying that the type of head trauma that leads to he didn't show.
He would have different signs that show.
He would have different signs, like physically, chemically, biologically speaking. The type of Parkinson's that he had is not the type of Parkinson's that would have developed based on head trauma.
Well, if you asked Muhammad why he got Parkinson's, he would say that it was his punishment from Allah for all of his infidelities. That's what he believed.
Wow.
Well, I mean, so after his diagnosis, people thought he would disappear from public life, but he remained pretty public and active for quite a while, as long as he physically could. I forgot to mention, like, they don't even talk about the Olympics in the movie, do they? I mean, he couldn't leave in '68 because his passport was taken away.
Yeah, because he won a gold medal in 1960.
In 1960, got a gold medal, couldn't compete in '68. But in 1984,
well, at that time, I don't think you could be a professional boxer. You had to be an amateur. So that's why he wouldn't have been able to box in '68 anyways. But yeah.
But in '84, he was the Olympic torchbearer for the section of the relay that went through Louisville. And he was, so the Olympics usually happens, late July, August? And he was diagnosed with Parkinson's in September of that year, so like a month later. And in '96, I remember watching this. You all may have been too young to remember this.
Yeah, I didn't see it.
But watching the opening ceremony of the Olympics, and he was given the honor of actually lighting the Olympic torch there at the end. And I have such a vivid memory of watching that because he's clearly shaking, but being able to lift the torch up and light it. And it was a pretty powerful moment.
He didn't want to do it either. He was afraid that the world would see him, unable and shaking and didn't want to do it. And he was basically, I forgot who it was, but told him that, you should do it because this is how we can love you again. Let the people pay their respects to you while they can, type thing.
And I think that was the right call.
Absolutely.
In the late 90s, he joins forces with fellow Parkinson's patient Michael J. Fox. They went before Congress, were very public about raising awareness for funding for research and treatment for Parkinson's. He helped establish the Muhammad Ali Parkinson Center and Movement Disorder Clinic. He was really heavily involved in promotion of this movie. So he was, to your point, Slate, I guess that I feel like, or maybe you can speak to this, that really memorable moment of lighting the torch in '96 and seeing the response it got maybe encouraged him,
ignited him
to continue to be out in the public, I can see how I can do some good with this.
Yeah, I think that they don't necessarily say that in the documentary that I watched, but I definitely see that. I think that there's definitely a different world where he doesn't light the torch and fades off into obscurity, much like Michael J. Fox, where we don't really know or see much of him. But I think after he lights the torch, you have a lot of other athletes saying that, Muhammad Ali came to my game and was in the locker room afterwards and talked to me, type stuff. And I don't think he would have done that had he not done the torch thing. Right. So, I mean, I see that. I don't want to speak for him or his family, but I definitely think that could have played a role in it for sure.
Yeah, in 2002, he served as a United Nations Messenger of Peace. So these are ambassadors, they're public figures from art, literature, science, entertainment, sports, kind of other fields of public life, and they're committed to using their clout to raise awareness and advocate for big worldwide issues that are close to their heart. And then in 2005, he was given the Presidential Medal of Freedom by then President George W. Bush. And he kind of disappears a little bit. I know he like showed up at the Dancing for the Stars set when Layla Ali was on the show. I think that was 2007, maybe. But he made another appearance at the 2012 Olympics in London. He was a flag bearer. In 2015, he publicly spoke out against Donald Trump when that POS called to ban Muslims from entering the U.S. His final public appearance, I think, was very fitting. So he was last seen at a celebrity fight night fundraiser for his Parkinson Center in Phoenix, Arizona on April 19th, 2016, just 2 months before he died. And I was like, oh, I'm going to, Michael J. Fox is the other obvious, because he's been very, very public about
I think
having
he's,
Parkinson's.
like, to me, the most obvious, like, celebrity, like, even more than Ali. To me, for me at least, that was...
And he even appeared on Scrubs.
Oh, gee.
He appears as a doctor with Parkinson's.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
It was a really good arc when he was on that show. But anyway, yes, Michael J. Fox. Brett Favre.
I did not know Brett Favre.
Did not know that.
Yeah, they diagnosed him not too long ago. It was like a year or two ago, I believe.
Neil Diamond. Did not know that.
Didn't know that.
Ozzy Osbourne.
I was well aware of Ozzy Osbourne.
Did know that.
We just passed the year anniversary of his death. That was my father-in-law's favorite artist ever.
Alan Alda, which do you all know who Alan Alda is?
I don't.
So, probably most famous for MASH. Back in the day, prior to my existence, honestly. But amongst one of the other cool things Alan Alda has done, he opened the Alan Alda Center for Communicating Science, and basically it's an organization that helps like researchers, scientists talk about their work in a way that people can understand.
Very important.
And that's so important when you think about, you want funding for something and you've got to go in front of some political committee and plead your case. You need people to understand why what you're doing is important. You can't just like throw out a bunch of medical jargon and then just say like it's important. You've got to be able to like, he teaches them, or it's not him, it's not Alan Alda personally, but the people in this organization that he started, they teach you like using metaphors for your work. Like it's so interesting to like, there's been a couple of researchers I know that who've worked with this a little bit, and they talk about workshopping specific message points and coming up with specific metaphors for their work to be able to, explain it like so your grandmother could understand it, essentially.
You kind of undersold this guy, Allison. He's still working. He's 90 years old and
he is a legend, but I feel like for people who, if there was one thing you'd know him from, probably MASH
is probably it.
Wow. Linda Ronstadt, singer from decades ago, and then Lars von Trier. Did not know that either. Pretty famous director. There's actually a very lengthy list of public figures, and a lot of them I didn't recognize, but I was kind of surprised when I'm like, there's more people diagnosed with this than who are celebrities / public figures than I thought.
When it does go to show too, like some of the, and it's like you mentioned it, like the symptoms and everything. It's like every disease are different for everybody. Like you may be diagnosed, and it may not be. Because I think people kind of know what happens with Michael J. Fox because he's been out there and you see it. But like there might be people that are diagnosed where it's more controlled, and you might not ever know it if they didn't just come out and say like, yeah, I've been diagnosed with Parkinson's. It's going. Thinking about Ali, like I was still working as a sports writer full time when that happened, and it's probably the last event that working in a newspaper that felt like this is really big, like in terms of like sports, and some of that's because of the timing and how things have evolved, and and the nature of being in that business.
Are you talking about his death?
Yeah, like his death, like but it also just like because it was big in the world, but also like big like being like on the periphery of it, just as somebody working in that field. It was just such a strange day because you also had so many people coming out and saying things, and and from like so many different walks of life, and I think it's the Parkinson thing almost he overshadows his disease like in a way that I think it's weird. Like I think because Michael J. Fox will die one day. Like I think the Parkinson's stuff for him might be like it'll be a big part of the story. Like when people talk, like when he dies, I think because of and that's not to dismiss his career, but it's more just like because how he's kind of been so forward facing with it,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that's a bad or a good thing. Just more, it's almost like feels as significant as it was for Muhammad Ali. It almost feels like a footnote, because of like how much he touched.
Yeah, especially I think that had he just been a boxer, it would have been one thing, and it would have been like, oh man, he's a great boxer that ended up with Parkinson's. But because of who he was politically and as a religious and just cultural icon, I see what you mean about him standing out above, Parkinson's. And then going towards his death, I mean, Muhammad Ali and Kobe are probably the two biggest sports deaths of our lifetime, I would say, that I can think of. And I think part of Kobe is just how shocking it was.
Shocking,
right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, very different. I mean, yeah, because Kobe was just like tragic. It's just one of those things. It's terrible that it happened, and that kind of speaks to the different time of the moment too, because that was in 2020. It was before the pandemic, but it was already like just in that 4 years, like being in the field. Now, also, I was literally like off that day, but it was just different. Like it was significant, but like how it felt like in a newsroom environment was different than the Ali thing. And some of that's because we're working in a Kentucky newsroom too. That certainly has impacted it. But it's just
honestly, I feel like 2016 was such a shitty year for celebrity deaths too, because we lost David Bowie and Prince. Carrie Fisher, Alan Rickman.
They were all getting out ahead
Gene
of
Wilder.
Ahead of the terrible tragedy that was about to befall the country. That's what they were doing. They saw what was
getting out while they could. Oh, we'll talk about Alan Rickman when we talk about Harry Potter.
That was all 2016?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Oh,
Merle Haggard, George Michael,
man.
Leonard Cohen, Gary Marshall, Anton Yelkin. Oh, I forgot about him. That was tragic. He was crushed by a car. Alan Thicke, Gary Shandling.
That's crazy.
America.
Kimbo Slice.
Kimbo was 2016 too. My God,
that is America, 1776 to 2016. Anyway. All right, so that's all I got for my bonus feature.
I'm glad you went that way, Allison. I think that was a good thing to highlight, and it's the spirit of this whole segment. Is it really? You never know where it'll go.
That's right. Okay, guys. Does this movie matter?
Can I lead off before Slade goes on and says yes, because how much he loves Muhammad Ali? I just want to... I'll be quick.
Go ahead.
I will say yes, largely for a lot of the reasons you were talking about earlier, Slade, like when you're talking about like exposing Sophia to it, and it just sort of being a gateway. Because I think that will become more and more important the further along we go, because people don't read as much. People don't want to engage with things like 10-hour documentaries and actually educate themselves as much, unless they're like already kind of super intrigued. And even though this movie has flaws and obviously isn't perfect, and for me at least kind of drags towards the end, it still probably is a perfect gateway into this story and into this period of time, regardless of even like separate Ali, the person and character, from the story, just like a window into this time of like civil rights and this blend of athletics and how you can use your platform for something way bigger than yourself, and how important that can be and how valuable that should be is like that value to me. And I think most people should, at least. I don't think it does, but for me personally, like that as a value is more important than patriotism or just, you know, jingoism, like, and just like, you know, so that resonates with me too. Like that part of it is like, you know, that's really what being a patriot is standing up for the rights that you're, at least in our country, you are supposed to be guaranteed, is your voice.
Okay. It's funny, Josh, because before you said that, I was gonna say no, actually. Because I was like, well, the best thing that you get out of this is a very good and serious performance from Will Smith that really kind of starts him down that Let's Hunt Oscar path.
Yeah, we didn't get into that too much, but this is really the kickoff to like a stretch for him where he's chasing that Oscar.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. So it's like, you know, I don't think this is when you talk about Michael Mann movies, it's not like one of the first movies that are mentioned. You know, when you talk about Will Smith movies, most of the time it's not one of the first movies that's mentioned, and if it is, it's a throwaway in the sense that.
He was good in Ali.
Man, he looked so much like Ali. That was crazy. You know, that's kind of what you get, right? But after you saying what you said, like I'm gonna lean towards yes. And I think that it has to matter, right? Because if it didn't matter, then Muhammad Ali wouldn't have wanted this movie to have been made. You know, and he wanted this movie to be made to show people like what he stood for as a person and his religious beliefs and his like those things that are, you know, extremely important to him. And so I think that this movie does do a good job of like trying to get what was most important to him about his life and his stance politically. And so I think that it does matter in that sense. And like you said, younger kids, when they get older, will hear, you know, us talk about Muhammad Ali or whatever, especially like in the Louisville area. He will forever be around. And we have the Muhammad Ali Center, which is really cool. And some kid might go there on a field trip one day and learn about it, but like still want to seek out more Muhammad Ali, and they're going to find this on streaming and watch it. And that'll be what gets them down that Ali rabbit hole. And then eventually maybe they will dive into the 10-hour-long documentary. I hope so. Because I think it's as definitive as a piece as you can get on just how complex, how great of a person he was, and also how flawed he was at the same time, while mastering being the greatest athlete of his time, maybe the greatest athlete ever.
Well, that's we haven't really talked about that part. Like he is, you know, I mean, there was a reason he was selected. You know, he was should have been like the torchlighter in Atlanta.
He was, I think,
like he was the
boxer of athlete of the
century. Yeah. Like, and he will resonate well beyond us as just a figure in history. Whatever, like even if you know, 200 years from now, they look at like his stances or whatever and say like that was insane, he will still be talked about in a way that probably he might be the only athlete that kind of carries through time. I mean, because of the intermingling of politics and, you know, and the success. I mean, because he also was the guy. Like, he was a heavyweight champion 3 times. Like, we don't even get into the movie. Like, he wins the heavyweight title again, you know, after losing it. You know, it's like, that's an achievement just as a boxer. I mean, it would have been
especially at the age
story,
of, what was it, 36 when he
won he was an old
time?
Man, like, in boxing, you know, parlance, so. And I'm also, I mean, we're all biased. Like, I feel like I'm biased, at least, like, because he's a Kentucky guy. Like, you know, we should be proud of that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was really tempted to say no, just because it didn't make much money, and didn't Michael Mann has better known movies, but ultimately, I think yes, and I'm thinking it more because I think the kind of message of this movie is more important now, maybe than it was back in 2001. And to your point, even it's not, totally historically accurate, glosses over a lot of stuff. But if watching this gets someone more interested in the history behind it and they educate themselves a little bit more, then I think that absolutely matters. And, Will Smith goes on to waste his career doing not great stuff after this. Okay, I'm sure you all knew that he turned down The Matrix, the role of Neo. I also did not realize he turned down a role in Inception.
Oh, I didn't know that. What role?
Oh, God!
Tom Hardy's role?
Oh, my God. Sorry, she just bit me again. Hang on, I had it pulled up.
It's round 2 of Jubilee and Nelson, and it's going much like round 1.
I haven't fed
Down
them
goes
yet,
Frasier.
Oh my God, where'd it go?
Joseph Gordon-Levitt's role. It couldn't have been Tom Hardy's role. Could not have.
Yeah, I was like, it wasn't like a lead, but.
Oh man, what if it had been him and Leo? Like, because they've never been in a movie together, right? Like
that would have been pretty cool.
Bonkers.
I
could see it being. I could have seen it being the Joseph Gordon-Levitt role. Actually, I can see Will Smith in that part.
I could see him being the Cillian Murphy role too.
Oh, yeah, that would actually be better. That would I could dig that. Although, like, it seems like
to pick a different dad.
Like, Murphy is like, in all of his movies there for a while.
Yeah, he's a Nolan guy for sure. But yeah.
Okay. Thanks for listening, everyone. But it's time to get off the ropes and knock down this podcast. Links to all of our online hangouts are in the description. If you aren't already, please consider watching us on YouTube and subscribing anywhere you'd like. And if you like what you heard, don't forget to rate and review us on Apple, Spotify, Overcast, or whatever podcast app you're using. And if you didn't care for it, then why are you still here? Any last thoughts from the guys?
Watch this. Is it on Tubi? I have the DVD. I think
it's on Paramount Plus for the next 3 days, so it'll be off by the time that we air this episode.
I think I watched it on Paramount Plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, go find a DVD. I will say, we didn't talk about this. There's 3 different cuts of this movie, so be mindful of that. If you're
there's a director's cut too.
Yeah. There's a director's cut, and then there's a commemorative edition that came out like 10 years ago, like where Michael Mann likes to recut his movies. He's like the George Lucas of thrillers. He likes to go back in and recut his own stuff all the time. So be mindful of that if you want to watch it, because we all watched the original version. So, be mindful, like there's various things that get added and trimmed and stuff and different takes out there. So I think that's the first movie we've talked about this year where that's the case.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah. Okay, stay tuned for next week where Slate is going to lead us into the mind of one of history's most famous serial killers.
Yeah. Well, guys, next week we are going to be talking about a different form of a sex pest, in a sense that we're going to be talking about a guy who...
We're going to make a whole show about one.
Butchered a bunch of prostitutes.
Sex pest and a murder pest.
Yeah. We're going to be talking about Johnny Depp, Kentucky Boys movie that he did with the Hughes brothers, psychological thriller, if you will, somewhat horror movie, also starring Heather Graham, based on the true events of Jack the Ripper. The film is titled From Hell, which I am very excited to talk with you guys about. It was one of the movies I was most excited about to draft this year. So for me to be able to host Ghost of Mars and From Hell back to back, I'm pretty excited about those 2 episodes. I'm glad we did Ghost of Mars, but From Hell is going to be fun. I just got the hardback trade of the comic series that it's based off of, and it is thick, but it is awesome. I'm about 30 or about 35 pages in so far. I'm going to try to fit some in. I'm off on Friday, so I might read through as much of it as I can on Friday. But cannot wait for you guys to check this movie out. It's a very fun movie from 2001. I think it tries to be pretty historically accurate with the kills, but also it's, spoiler alert, they actually come up with who the killer is in this one, so it's not left as a mystery as it is in, the real case of Jack the Ripper. So we can talk more about that when we get into the discussion of the film, but can't wait to talk about it next week with you guys.
I'm excited.
I haven't seen it, so.
I have, but I was like 15 the only time I ever watched it, so.
It's a really good movie.
I remember liking it then. You guys, so.
Yeah, and the comic that the movie is based off of is written by the same guy who wrote V for Vendetta. Yeah, Alan Moore. So V for Vendetta. So if you enjoyed Watchmen. V for Vendetta, Watchmen too. Shit, I didn't even think about that. But yeah, so it's he makes some great work. But the movie's awesome. Johnny Depp's great in it. Love Heather Graham, and it is a very fun period piece and some awesome kills in it. As far as just the way it's done, lovely, love it.
All right, and I realize I forgot to say this at the beginning, but I chose this movie as my That Really Happened based on a true story.
There you go.
Yeah, so we've knocked all those out, right? Or we will have, because From Hell is yours, right?
Yeah,
so
From Hell is mine, yeah. So back-to-back true stories. Neither one of them can really withstand the test of time as, Fast and Furious. Like, Muhammad Ali, he's no Dominic Toretto, but, he did all right for himself to represent our state.
And with that, I will leave you with some real-life wisdom from the legendary Muhammad Ali. A man who views the world the same at 50 as he did at 20 has wasted 30 years of his life.
That's good shit.
Yep.
Well, speaking of Sex Pest, time to quote.
Are you going to read from lyrics from The World's Greatest?
Kelly. Yep. I'm that star up in the sky. I'm that mountain peak up high. Hey, I made it. I'm the world's greatest. And I'm that little bit of hope. When my back's against the ropes, I can feel it. I'm the world's greatest. I went and saw R. Kelly when I was in high school. Just thought you should know that. Great concert. It really was good.
Oh.
Did you smell pee?
When I went to the bathroom, I did. My buddy got hustled out of all of his money in a bathroom at the R. Kelly concert.
I assume you all have seen the Dave Chappelle skit.
Oh, yeah.
R. Kelly.
Yeah. He needs 2 forms of government IDs with his grandmother there identifying him. That's my Robert.
The remix edition of Ignition.
Yes. How you gonna make a song about peeing on somebody? Man, how you gonna make a song about peeing on somebody?
Okay. Man.